Hello, my name is Richard and I'm going to take you through Issuebear and where our development currently sits. So I am logged in here on a board and we're using Issuebear ourselves in order to develop Issuebear. So here you go, here's my dashboard with what's up next, what I need to deal with, what's later. I now have a projects tab, so I have multiple projects going on in here at the moment, and so we'll go into the Issuebear one, and then we have multiple boards that we are then using underneath that project. So if I go into one of these, you can see we have a Kanban view, we have a list of all of our tasks, everything here is live, we can drag things up and down. We can right click on things and automatically assign things to different places. You can see we have labels, we have reference numbers, we have filters up the top where I can filter it to only show certain things which it remembers, which is why I can back into here and it was still on the not complete, which is what I was looking at before. And then we have all of these items here where you can go in. Items can have checklists, they can have attachments, we can track time on them, we can relate them to other things, you know, we can see how long we spent on it. There are comments, we can add proper descriptions. In fact, let's go into one that actually has a description on it. We can have dates, so we can say that items are due at a certain time or we're going to start it at a certain time. We have multiple labels with colors. We can give them names, or we can just, you know, say that, no, that one's just got orange attached to it. You can have multiple labels attached to a task. Items can be for a specific company. I actually don't have any companies set up at the moment, but there is a contacts system in here where you can set up your customers. You can say the people that work for those customers. We can say who their account manager is. We can put in all of their details so that you can then have tasks that appear from them. You can create forums as well, so you can have, you know, like support forums, holiday request forums if you want to do them internally. You can pick the fields that appear on them. You can choose exactly which board they go into when submitted, which column, who they get assigned to. You can view things as a list as well if you prefer that to the Kanban view. You can group by specific things. Let's group by step or group by who things are currently assigned to. You can see two of them are currently assigned to me, who it was created by, what customer is it for, etc. You can choose which columns appear. You can reorder the columns. You know, you can really dial in exactly what you want it to look like. So the other thing you can do though is we have full integration so that you can work with other members of your team, other humans, but you can also work with clankers. So clankers are the non-human members. That's any AI that you want then to integrate. Oh yeah, before I carry on, let's quick into automations. You can do automations, inbound webhooks if you want to parse them. You can do scheduled tasks that recur at specific times. You can do automations which check to see when a task is moved and it moved from, you know, this step to another step. Then go ahead and create another task or add a comment onto it, or, you know, and does that apply everywhere? Does that apply to a specific board? And, you know, who does this run as? Does it run as, you know, what user made that action when it actually goes ahead and happens? But let's go back. Oh yeah, for the inbound webhooks, you can define the inbound endpoints. So, you know, if you've got, you know, a GitHub webhook that you want to then move things on your board, or a Stripe one, you can do generic ones and go ahead and set them up and set up what the post endpoint is. And just while we're speaking about webhooks, you can also do that with tasks and boards as well. So a board can have webhooks. So you can say that whenever a task is created on this board, then you want to go ahead and post a webhook to somewhere else. You know, if you're doing, you know, Zapier or some integration with that. And these can also be at the task level as well for this specific task. You know, if this task gets moved or is overdue, then go ahead and post a webhook somewhere else. So let's just go back to Clankers quickly. So Clankers is how you can actually have the non-human members of your organization, you work with them just the same way as you work with the human ones. So we have a bot that you can install. So you can see that I've got one installed on a Hetzner server. So we have an open source coordination bot effectively that you can install anywhere. You can install it on a local machine. You can install it in a sandbox somewhere. You can install it on a server like I've done here in this example by installing one on Hetzner. And what it does is it then integrates with Claude. So that Hetzner server has Claude installed on it. It has the GitHub command line tool installed in it. It has our Issuebot installed onto it. And it's effectively just sitting there listening for requests, which it then passes off to Claude. That means that I'm using my own Claude subscription. We have no additional billing that you would have on top for running your own, for us charging you for agents. At the moment, we support Claude. In the future, that could be any other, agent integration that it wants to go to. We're focused at the moment on coding tasks, but ultimately those tasks could be anything. So you can get the end to end here where you can have a forum which you go ahead and create for customer support requests. We support publishing those or embedding those forums in external websites. So you could put one of those on your website. The request can come in. It can appear on one of these boards. A human can go ahead and pick it up, or you can have it automatically assigned to an agent who then goes ahead and does the work, and then they'll comment back on the task. So you can see, we're using this at the moment for, fixing bugs and making improvements to the system as we, check out that everything is doing what it should. So you can see, condition values would be much better than having to type things in. So, I wrote a story and I assigned it to the Hetzner bot, and it went and picked it up, and it came back, and we have some custom skills that we're using as well that we're passing on to Claude, and this repo is set up as well for making that easy for Claude to go ahead and work with. And you can see it picked it up, it came back with some questions, it makes some assumptions, it makes some recommendations. Ultimately, it goes ahead and creates clones the code, creates a branch for this, creates a pull request on GitHub at the end of it. But you can see it asked questions, and I went back and said, here's my answers, and then it goes ahead and does it. If it has any questions along the way, then it'll ask. So I noticed a bug as I was preparing for this demo where, if you add a new column on the board, it creates the new settings panel. So obviously that's not right. So I can just go ahead and assign it to Hetzner, and you can see immediately my Clanker has gone ahead and picked that up, so you can see the notification on the board. And so if you have multiple issue bots running, across multiple hosts, then you can see that multiple of these will light up at a time. Otherwise, it's queued so that the Clanker only does one task at a time. And so that's now also effectively sandboxed, because I'm running that on an external server with Hetzner. It has no access to my personal information, my local data, anything. What it does have though is an MCP connection back to the board, which means that it can see exactly what things are. It can post comments, and if you don't want to use our bot, then obviously you're free to go ahead and hook this up however you want. We have a full API that goes with this. We have a full MCP integration that allows you to speak to Claude and ask it to check what tasks are due for you today, post comments on things, move things around. It has a whole bunch of functions and access that it can call. And so you really get that full end-to-end flow of working with your clankers, working with your human teams, using the clanker when it's useful for getting it to go ahead and do research for you, to fill in details, getting information that you might need as a human to be able to better answer the question, and really being able to connect that without requiring you to go ahead and use an AI tool that you're not using at the moment. Go ahead and use hosting, or something which you're already, that it doesn't suit you because you don't trust it. In this case, you can run both Issuebot. It will be open source, and you can go ahead and run that locally. And our plan as well is that you will be able to get either a SaaS version of Issuebear for the coordination, or there'll be options to go ahead and host that yourself as well, so that you can be in full control of your data. And that's Issuebear. If you want any more information, then you can head to issuebear.com. You can go ahead and sign up for our mailing list for when we're going to launch. And if you have any questions, then feel free to email me directly. My email is on the website. Thank you.